Caleb Archuleta, and today I'm going to be discussing how a historian thinks. In class, we've discussed a number of different topics. The one I found the most interesting and the most relevant to what I am interested in going forward was Unit 2.1, where we talked about identities of a historian. And I'll continue as we go on. I'll break down what those four identities are and what each of those identities entails. First, I do think it is important to discuss what is history. We talked about this in class. And the conclusion that we've come to is it's not just focusing on dates and times and names. It goes deeper than that. We want to understand what and why things happen, and what happened after those things happened, in order to clearly understand our history, the motivations of peoples and cultures, because our goal is not simply to know our mistakes and our successes, it's to learn and grow from them. So it's important to realize that it's not just about knowing, okay, here's the day the Declaration of Independence was signed. It's also about, here's why it was signed, here's how the Declaration of Independence came to be, and here's what happened after. So those four identities start off with the detective. The detective's job is to authenticate and analyze physical evidence. This is super important when it comes to like historical sites. Like if I go to Rome and find the Colosseum, my job as a detective, as a historian, and one of my identities being a detective, is I have to analyze, okay, what do I know about the people that lived here, and what can I draw about the things that surround them and the things that they created, whether it be food they ate, places they lived, what they made their houses out of, and not only just understanding how they lived life, but understanding why they lived life. Next after that is a judge, and this identity is particularly interesting because society tells us that we are not supposed to judge people. So historians are kind of against that status quo of not judging people, because we must form judgments in order to better understand what we're dealing with, and what the significance of events and dates and things such as that are. That being said, judgments differ from person to person and culture to culture and society to society. And therefore, we must first establish a basis of judgment, one that we can hold true to, in order to provide an objective truth as opposed to just our truth. Because my opinions and my circumstances and my experience have given me a bias. And so if I can't present a basis of judgment prior to judging something, then it's really not that helpful. Next after that is the philosopher, and that is the looking deeper part of it. First we have to take our facts, and then we have our inquiry after the facts. And we must take those facts and look deeper, and not just be like, oh, cool, they made arrowheads out of obsidian. We have to look at, okay, why was that something that they did? And look past the fact that, oh, I just found a physical evidence. Now I'm going further than just presenting that at face value. I was in Rome, I found this big statue. Okay, what about it? Why was it built? What happened after it was built? Lastly is the storyteller. And the storyteller, in my mind, at first it registers as what seems like a lesser identity of like, oh, you have to be able to talk about it. This being said, it's actually one of the most important ones, for the sole fact of, what is the point of collecting ideas and collecting facts about things and understanding our history, if not to share them? And so the storyteller focuses on providing a narrative. And providing a narrative can look a number of different ways. That being said, generally they shoot for this can be oral history. It's something that humans did for years before they developed writing, or it can be written. It can vary in size and shape and how you present it, but at the end of the day, it's how you share the story. Next point I'd like to bring up is historians seek clarity, not agreement. Society asks us to come to agreement. We're taught to compromise from a very early age. Historians seek clarity because we're here to provide an objective truth. We want to give you the facts, and then you can decide what you want to do with the facts and the evidence that we've given you with those facts. Part of the reason is agreement feels good, and clarity does not always feel good. This being said, it is important that as a historian that we seek clarity and not agreement. The work that you put out is not necessarily because you want people to support and agree with it, but just to provide that clarity. This has been my TED Talk. I'll catch y'all next time.